Alright, so we are going to be cleaning a Smith & Wesson M&P Bodyguard 380 today, and it's a pretty simple pistol to clean. It can be a little bit tricky getting back together, but I'll go over that later in the video. And just to start out, you always want to make sure that you safety check your firearm, so we'll go ahead and do that. As you could tell, there is no round in the chamber. It has been cleared, so we're good to go on that end. And before we get into this, I do want to just let you guys know, if you're new to the game and cleaning, then a good thing to do would be to pick up something like one of these guys. This is a cleaning kit. You can get you some gun cleaning patches. This guy is a silicone cloth that you can use to keep the coating protected on your slide and any of the metal parts on the exterior of the pistol. A good gun grease. I love this stuff. This is Wilson combat grease, and Wilson makes great pistols, great quality stuff. You got hops number 9, a good strong solvent. This is a new copper remover gun bore cleaner. I usually use the traditional, but this is, I guess, just a souped up version with some extra additives or whatnot and cleaners in there to get the copper out, and a good old Rem Oil. Now, Ballistol, you know, there's a bunch of options out there, but you'll figure it out on your own, which ones you prefer. And I like this guy because this is a Boresnake. This is going to make cleaning the barrel a lot quicker for you. It's going to cut down all the time. Usually these type of items that you see also on the tabletop here is just stuff that would come with a cleaning kit. And then an old trusty, you know, rag that you can just dirty up. So we'll go ahead and start breaking this pistol down. Start by pulling the slide back, pushing that slide release button up so that guy stays back. And this is your breakdown lever. You're going to turn that, as you can see the grooves there. You're going to go ahead and take that guy and kind of turn him to the side till it kind of pops loose. And get in there and pull that guy out. Set that to the side, and then take your slide off your frame. Go ahead and take your recoil spring. When you do take this recoil spring out, just keep in mind that that spring is loose. So make sure you don't lose that, and just go ahead and set that guy to the side. Take your barrel out of the slide, and this guy is completely disassembled and ready to go. So to start out, what I do is I will take some dry rags, excuse me, and start just cleaning the entire pistol, get all the old grease and dirt and gunk and everything off of this guy. Now, also, you want to make sure, as you can see that grease in that in the rails in the slide, you want to get in those cracks and crevices. You want to get in everything and get this guy, get most of all that crud off of it. So you'll go into detail, clean that guy. You'll also want to clean the exterior of your barrel. Go ahead and get, like I said, the majority of this stuff off. And I did kind of start to clean this pistol, so you won't see a whole lot of stuff coming off, but I stopped about halfway through. Figured it'd be nice for you guys to, whoever is interested, to see how to break down and clean this pistol. So get the majority of that stuff off, and then you'll go to your frame. Now the frame's going to be kind of the least dirtiest part, but you still want to get inside of these rails on that frame, wipe that guy nice and clean, you know, get in all the cracks and crevices and stuff, and get the majority of all the crud off of it. So I'm going to go ahead and do that real quick, and I'll be right back, and we will go forward with using the solvent, getting a little deeper into cleaning this pistol. Alright, so we went ahead and wiped everything down with some dry rags and got the majority of all the crud off of it. So we'll go ahead and start cleaning everything up with the solvent. I'm using the hops number 9. I like to pre-soak some pads, get them set aside, and I typically will start by just kind of running some rags through there. Also something that's going to help break it all down, something that you have to do and you need to do, is use a brush. This guy is going to get everything all broken down out of that barrel. So let's see, another tip is to keep these the hops or whatever solvent you're using closed when you're not using it. That's going to keep the smell down because that stuff is strong. So you just want to push a brush through there, and it's always best to go the way the bullet travels. You don't want to scrape up, you know, around the crown of the barrel. If you do that, it can mess with the accuracy, so keep that in mind. If you can help it, just go with the flow of the barrel. So I just give it a few strokes through. If you don't have a bore snake, what you're going to be kind of fighting with is you're going to have to brush, and then you're going to have to wipe, and you're going to have to brush, and you're going to have to wipe. And the bore snake, I'll show you in a second, it just saves you a ton of time. As you can tell, that rag's going to keep collecting stuff. Even if I use a dry rag, it's going to collect a bunch of stuff, and you'll find yourself, you know, going through a bunch of times if you do that. So I am just getting more and more crud out of here, but I'm getting the majority of it. And the reason that I'm doing this first before the bore snake and not just the bore snake is I don't want to dirty it all up. So I'm getting the majority out. As you can tell, the barrel is pretty shiny already, and it's, you know, it's just going to get better and better the more you do it. But I'm going to go ahead and set this aside. I do like to kind of mix it up, use some Rem Oil too. You can use whatever you're comfortable with, and so we kind of, you know, lube that guy up. That's going to help break it down with that Rem Oil. And we'll go ahead and run the snake. Snake, you know, same concept. You want it to go with the flow of the barrel, and the snake has a you know, like copper brush, brass brush bristles that, you know, are in it, and then it just gets so much crud out, you guys. So it really helps. Let me kind of get some grease off so I got a good grip on this. All right, so we're gonna run it through just a few times, 2 or 3 times I would say is pretty good, you know, but you can do it as many times as you feel necessary. So run it through a few more. Let's see here. And this is well worth the investment. Usually these guys are about like 16 to 20 bucks for a bore snake. So it's not too much. All this stuff, I would say you might spend 30, 40 bucks altogether, but this stuff will last you for years and years to go, or to come, and it's just well worth it. This just saved probably an extra 10, 15 minutes of time working on that barrel. So that got most of the stuff out of it, but also I would like to run a couple dry patches through there. You always want to make sure you wipe down and dry up anything that you're hitting with a solvent, because that solvent will continue to eat at it. So we'll go ahead and just pass through a couple dry ones real quick. Get that barrel nice and clean. And as you can tell, it's not really picking anything up on this rag, so that's a good thing. We got that barrel nice and clean, okay? These things look pretty much brand new. So also wipe your feed ramp, get that guy nice and good. We pretty much already did a dry run on everything and got the majority of the crud off, but what we will do is use a couple of these pre-soaked rags here, kind of wipe down the exterior of this barrel and get in there nice and good. It's always good to take your time when you're cleaning. You want to get everything nice and clean. You know, you take care of your stuff, it's going to last you. If you treat it like garbage, it's not going to like that, and it probably won't want to work for you. And you want your guns to work. So we'll work on the frame now. Kind of get this guy, get into those rails real good. Wipe those rails. Get in all these little kind of nooks and crannies. Another thing, that front of that pistol usually collects a lot of debris. This does have a laser, so I'm kind of going to shy away from that. This pistol actually comes with a little cotton swab you can use to clean the laser, and I do that every now and then. But I'm just trying to get all the gun powder and stuff off of the front of the pistol. Get in here. You don't have to go too crazy. The frame usually isn't very dirty, but you want to get that stuff off of there. It is kind of corrosive for the most part. Most ammo is. For range ammo, you just want to get it nice and clean, get that other rail, and get everything looking good. And we'll go back, and I don't need to demonstrate it, but we'll wipe all this stuff dry with some dry rags and get all that off of there. Same thing goes for the slide, you guys. You just get in all those cracks and nooks and crannies. I'll point something else out about this slide, or about any slide. There's a certain part on here you don't want to get any grease on. I'll show you here in a second. So yeah, just get in all those rails on the sides real good. Now right here on the bolt face, right there, you want to make sure that's nice and clean, and so you can use a solvent. You know, that's going to help out tremendously, because that collects a lot of crud. As you can tell already, a lot of stuff's coming off of that. So just wipe that down really good. But when you're done, you're going to want to wipe that and get everything, you know, all the solvent off of there, and you're going to keep that dry. There's no grease. You don't want anything on there. So when we go to grease this, I'll point that out too. So it's looking pretty good so far. I'm just going to wipe it down, and you guys kind of get the gist. You just do the exact same thing, but with dry rags to wipe all that that solvent off of it. Okay, and we'll go ahead and finish up, grease it up, put a light coat on it, put it back together. Okay, so now that we got everything wiped down and got all the dirt and residue and gunk off of it, let's go ahead and start by just putting a light coat of oil down this barrel. So what I'm going to do here is take a couple patches, go ahead and spray a little bit of this Rem Oil on them. You can use whatever type of oil you choose. Gonna spray a little bit down the barrel and just do kind of a light pass. Kind of spread that stuff around there. Also, I am going to take a couple more dry patches, and what you want to do, you don't want too many patches, maybe one or two, and we're going to get the majority, but leave a thin coat on that barrel. Just one or two passes, and it's going to leave that barrel nice and shiny, but at the same time, it's not going to have too much oil on it. Okay, so nice clean barrel, the most important part of the pistol in my opinion. Also, what we'll do for the rest of the pistol is, I love this Wilson Combat Grease. We're going to use this guy sparingly. Just put a few drops, I'd say 2 good sized drops for the whole slide. And what we'll do is we'll use a couple patches to kind of rub that around. Just a little drop here and there. We'll rub that into the slide and make a nice even coat on that slide. Also just do a drop here, there. You want to hit the back rail, and you want to kind of get all in the length of these rails. I do like this pistol. It has long rails on it. That's really good. I always like to see that in pistols. And just a little bit of oil here and there. You'll get the hang of it, and we'll go ahead and rub that in and put a thin coat of oil on your barrel as well. Let's go ahead and kind of rub that in there. Now for the recoil spring, you don't have to. You can put a very, very light coat just to kind of keep it from rusting up, just to protect the metals a little bit. But really, you don't need much oil all throughout this pistol. It just needs enough so that it's got a decent coat on there. You don't want too much, because because it's going to collect a bunch of crud. So let's go ahead and just kind of rub this grease all in there, get it nice and even on these rails. You can kind of get a feel for it as you go. You don't really need to put any grease on any of the plastic polymer part of the frame, just on these rails. So we'll get in there, nice coat there. Go ahead and get in these rails, and I like to, you know, take my time on the rails, make sure I actually am spreading it nice and even. That's kind of a pet peeve of mine, but you'll get your own method as you go. Kind of use the same patches to spread all the love around, all that oil. Now, like I said earlier, the main part you don't want to hit, this part is a clean part of the patch, is that bolt face. You don't want any of the grease or anything to be on that, and you want to make sure that extractor has been clean. You can use a brush like so to get in there if you need to too. But this is pretty good. Some people may say this is too much grease. I like a decent amount of grease on mine. I guess it looks kind of more on camera too, but everything's pretty good. So we'll go ahead and reassemble. Alright, so we'll go ahead and reassemble it now. So we'll go ahead and take the barrel, put that guy in there, take your recoil spring, and there is a flat base for the recoil spring to rest up on that notch right there. So what you'll do is go ahead and put it in there, and just take your time with this. Make sure it lines up good, because that is a loose spring. Make sure it's nice and snug in there. And this slide is completely reassembled and ready to be put back on the slide. You just want to line up the notches with your rails and rails. And as you put it on there, you'll push up that slide release to keep it locked back. Another trick I find is when you go to put this pin back in, that guy might be too far back or too far forward, but what I usually do is I kind of push this guy forward a little bit, and you'll be able to kind of see the light through there as so. You'll be able to see and get a feel for it as you put this pin back in. So this pin, you kind of start down here, the opposite of the way you swept, so you don't want to start way up here. So just go ahead and push that guy back in. You can kind of move and maneuver the slide around as you do so. And then I just apply even pressure on both ends and turn it back up. It'll click into place, and your pistol's ready to go. So thank you for watching, guys. Another good trick is you can hit it with these silicone patches. These guys last forever, and you can go ahead and put a nice thin coat of silicone on the exterior of your slide. That's going to give it a nice sheen, and it's great for storage. So thank you very much for watching this video, and hope that little trick helped you out with putting this pistol back together as well. Thanks, guys, and have a great day.